Well, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'm just going to have to tell them. That's just the only thing that I think I can do. All right, well, here it goes. Well, fellers, welcome to the next episode of What Kind of Piece of Junk Could Cornbread Find and Buy Today? Welcome to WDCD, or What Did Cornbread Do, on channel whatever you're watching right now. I have here with me Genesis, and she's going to tell me about all the junk that I buy. Do you think that your dad buys good junk or bad junk?
Bad junk.
Well, why do you think that?
You work all the time on cars, and you don't play with your children a lot.
I don't think I have anything to say to that. That's really not a good thing. Didn't I just help you put a motor on your go-kart that you were not riding right now, and we did that together?
Yes.
Okay, and why ain't you riding your go-kart that your daddy helped you put together so that way you could play on it?
'Cause
Did he not put a lot of hard work into it?
yes.
Did he not paint it?
Yes.
Did he not do all this stuff?
Yes.
Okay, then why ain't you riding it?
'Cause I had a crash last time, and I don't want to do it again.
Well, you heard it here first, folks, on the Cornbread and Crap Box's YouTube channel. She wrecked because that thing had way too much horsepower, and it scared her because she popped a wheelie, flipped a flip, and don't want to have to do that again. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't think it is, but we'll go with that story. Thank you, Genesis, for being on WCDC, whatever I just said a little while ago.
You say please. Make your man.
I'm sure you're going to love this next truck that I bought, and you're really going to see that, well, maybe this one might not be a piece of junk, and we might have seen it on the channel before if you can go back through the videos and look through them. Anyway, fellers, welcome to the channel. Well, guys, I just got done loading the truck up on the dolly, and I got it sitting back here. If you can see what it is, yep, I bought the Blue Ranger off of my buddy and got it loaded up, getting ready to head back to the house. And I think I'm going to take the long way. I did take back roads on the way getting here, and the dolly was bouncing everywhere, and I met about 10 or 15 people and had to get over basically almost off the road with the dolly. So I believe I'm going to take the longer route, so that way make it a little bit safer. But tell me that don't look good sitting back there. I'm getting ready to pull it with this Durango. This will be the first heavy thing that I think I pulled with this Durango, and I think it'll do just fine as long as the transmission will hold up. And I know the 318 will pull it just fine, and I know the dolly, ain't gonna be no issue there. I've used it many times before, and it's a good dolly. So I think everything will be good as long as everything with the Durango holds up. And I'll see y'all fellers at the house. First update, we made it over to Hirschberger's Country Market. I had to stop one time before, and this is the reason why I stopped, because that strap was loose. This one was tight. Anyway, we have made it probably about, I'd say, 5-10 miles. I'd say more 5 miles down the road. And we probably got another 10-15 back home. So I think the next update, unless anything happens, will be at the house. Oh, let's get out here. Oh, yeah, I guess it's about time to get up anyway. Hey, what's going on? No, you just caught me sleeping in my bed. That's pretty good, ain't it? Yeah, I thought so myself. I figured you'd get a kick out of that. Well, fellers, here's the gist of it. We ain't got much time. I'd say probably 30 minutes of sun left. And I want to show you this pickup that I just recently got off of my buddy. Go behind the story of it and everything, and really show you all the details, everything about this thing. It's a pretty clean truck. And Durango, boy, she done a pretty good job of bringing this thing here. Was it the stoutest? No. I done about 35, 45 mile an hour the whole way. That's going up hills, going down hills, on flat roads. So I think it done a pretty good job. But anyway, let's get over here and let's look at this thing. Now we're going to start back here in the back of the bed. I want you to just look at how clean this bed is, and that right there is just surface rust. But just look at it. The inside of this bed looks, I mean, it is just clean. Now it's got a few dings here and there, but as far as like a rust-free body, I mean, this truck has just got it going on. I mean, cab corners are just solid. Rockers, doors are straight. Gaps look pretty good. Fenders, they all look good. Hood, it's got a few dings, but it could be cleaned up. Now this front end right here is the different front end that I was telling y'all about. It ain't like the one on my 87 Bronco. This is the one from, I think, 89 to 92. And I like it too, and it looks good, and I think there's maybe a little bit more of an aftermarket for these headlights. But I'm very, very much liking this truck. It's got a little spot right there and a little bit of, damage in this area. But as far as it being like a straight truck, I mean, it is just that. It even has a good set of tires on it. Venezias. What does that say down there? Classic 787s. I don't know what the number's for, but they're classics. And the old stuff is a whole lot better. Now this door over here, the latch is messed up a little bit and the lock's messed up a little bit, so we'll have to work on that. I actually offered him $500, I think a couple of months before I actually went and picked it up. And then he finally told me, he said, you know what, I need the money. I told him, I said the offer still stands as it was. So I went and picked it up for $500. Now the story behind this pickup is the guy who owned it before my buddy had it just didn't like Fords. And I think it's kind of a mixture of that. And I think this truck was just getting ready to go kaput. My buddy had a 73 C10, 3-speed on the column, short bed. And I think it had a step-side bed. And I know what you're thinking, like, why in the world would he trade that for a Ranger? Well, let me tell you, it was in rough shape. There was no bed. The sides caved in. There was rust all over the cab. The transmission was out of it at the time. He had all the shift linkage, but, it was out of it, and there was no motor, so it was a roller. This thing has a motor, but here's the kicker. When they traded, the guy who traded this pickup to my buddy said that it needed an oil pump. Well, my buddy, I guess, thinking that, well, maybe I can, limp it, exactly to where, his house was at. And so he tried to limp it home, but it was making all kinds of funny noises when he first started it up. And I'll show you underneath the hood and show you why. But this pickup right here, and, you could tell by the way the body looks. Now, somebody's done, a hack paint job on it. It's got places showing here and there, and we know the original color was white or cream white. But this truck right here, original mileage, is 90,000 original miles. Now, if you don't believe me, with the body, let's just take a step inside here and see if you believe me then. I mean, just look at that. Other than, a little spot right here. But look at them seats. Hardly worn. I mean, yeah, everybody knows that, those go down after a while, but this is a good looking truck as far as the interior goes. And as far as the pedals go, there's not much wear on the gas pedal. Brake pedal a little bit on the side, and the clutch, of course. But if this was a truck that was just, drove around town or just, stopped here and there, it would have more time being pressed on the clutch than the brake than it would be the gas pedal. Now, another thing that poses a serious question, well, does it actually say it on the odometer? Yes, it does. But is it a 5-digit odometer? Yes, it is. So what I'm strictly going off of is what it says on the odometer and what exactly it says on the title. And the title says it has 90,000 original miles. So guess what? This truck, to me, has 90,000 original miles. And with that being said, I'm just not looking at it and being like, okay, well, somebody hoodooed something somewhere and just didn't write down the mileage the way they were supposed to. This truck, the way it looks, the way the dash looks, the way the interior looks, I mean, this truck would pass for a 90,000 original mile pickup. I mean, just look at this back here. I mean, that's in good shape. Still got the netting, the carpet's in good shape, the seats, even the cover for the speakers. Now, this model truck, one thing that you'll notice that's different than, on my Bronco 2 is the dash is different, steering wheel's different. A few of the inside components is different. I think they got rid of the Bronco 2 in 90, so you could only get this style dash and this style steering wheel in 89 and 90. And then they switched to the Explorer, and the Explorer had this dash. Well, what about underneath the hood? Well, I'm getting ready to show you, and it ain't pretty, because if you've watched a previous video of mine when I was working on the Bronco 2, I needed a lower intake at the time, or I thought I needed one. And I got it off this pickup right here, and I actually talked about, well, maybe we might be the owner of this pickup, and, it just turns out that that was the case. So for those of you that watched that video, you know a little bit about the shape of this motor that I'm getting ready to show you. But for those of you that's watching right now, you ain't going to really know what it looks like until now, and it ain't pretty. Now, overall, looking at it, you're thinking, well, it don't look that bad, in here. Well, I just want you to, look a little bit closer down here in the oil valley, right here, I'd like to call it. That chunky stuff right here that looks like Play-Doh and gelatin, and you can squish it with your finger, that right there is congealed oil. And it is all over the rockers, all over the push rods, all in that valley. When I pulled that intake off, it was nasty. And so it's got all this junk just riding throughout this motor. And what has probably happened is somebody just didn't take care of this pickup like they needed to, didn't change the oil like they needed to. I remember when I tore mine apart, I remember that mine wasn't the cleanest, but it looked a whole lot cleaner than this. I had some gunk built up around the lifters, but I ended up cleaning everything out. Now, for somebody who changes their oil regularly, you won't see something like this, but for somebody who doesn't, anything that you do not change the oil in, there's a screen in the bottom of that pickup tube that goes to the oil pump, and that screen will get stopped up, and you won't have no oil flow to any part of your motor, to the rods, to the top end, to anything. And that right there is what happens. So that's what happened to this pickup. It just, the screen is probably stopped up. The oil pump probably burned up itself, and it just gave out on his last leg because it just wasn't took care of. Now, if any of y'all know me like y'all know me, then you're probably wondering, what am I going to do with this pickup? I mean, am I going to rebuild the 2.9 that's in it and bring this truck back to its original and former glory? Or am I going to let it sit for a while and use the parts out of this one, for my Bronco 2? Well, it still leaves, with the question, if I take the parts out of this truck and use them for my Bronco 2, then what am I going to put back in this truck that has, a pretty close to being really good interior, and then a body that basically has no rust but just has some dent and dings and some paint issues? What am I going to put back in this thing? Well, I had a few ideas floating around in my head, and one of them was a 4-liter. A 4-liter will bolt right up to the transmission. I know all the dash components will work because the computer, it's pretty much basically the same between the dashes of an Explorer to this one. I know they put 4 liters in this truck, and the motor mounts is basically the same depending on which 4-liter motor you get. If you get it between like a 91, 93 Explorer or a 90 to 92 Ranger, if they do have the 4-liter, then it will, bolt up motor mount wise and transmission wise to this transmission. But that also comes with the complication of there is a few small, minute, details, and that include wiring. That's really just a headache, and I hate doing wiring. Like, that's just the thing about newer vehicles. They're just a headache because of all the wiring if they're not simple like an LS is. So another suggestion would be to throw a 302 in this thing, and I am highly for that, and I think that's going to be the way that I'm going with this pickup. Man, you talking about lighting up the tires and being fun to drive around, and it's basically the perfect pickup for it because it already needs a motor. Now, another thing that we could do that's just slightly been in my brain is we could take a Volkswagen TDI motor out of the, I don't know, I think it's right there in the early 2000s eras that they come in the Jettas, and I think the Beetles too. But we can take that diesel motor, and I think they will fit inside here with a little bit of, redneck engineering, and I think they might make an adapter plate to fit to these transmissions. I'm not quite sure, but it would be cool to have a diesel in here too, because I'd get 35, 40 mile to the gallon in a 5-speed. And if I put a, big old 10-inch tip on the back of that thing, I wouldn't go that far, but a good 3 or 4 inch, exhaust, and then have that little dial, I don't know what they call it, to where they turn up the fuel and watch this thing roll coal. Man, it would be fun. But I don't know. Those are the ideas that I'm racking around in my brain, and honestly, I need y'all's input. So if you don't mind, throw me a comment down there. And if you watch the video this long, make sure you like, subscribe, smash that bell, do whatever you can, so that way more people can see more of this cornbread content that I'm trying to push out. Hey, listen, fellers, we're getting a pretty good fleet going on, and I'm at the point right now to where I'm like, well, maybe I need to sell one in order to put some money back into another. I don't know, the thing is I got a lot of ideas rolling around my head. I just fixed up the Bronco 2 as a daily because I sold my Tahoe, and it's been a good daily so far. But maybe, we sell that because it would be a good one to sell. I, got, a certain amount of money in it, and I feel like I could get a little bit more than what I got in it. I want to get some more trucks in here. I want to start doing some more cooler things than just, fixing the original motors that's in, vehicles. I want to, hop them up and maybe put something bigger and just, do something crazier. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's enough yapping. Sun's starting to go down on us. I appreciate y'all watching. Love each and every one of you. And we'll see y'all fellers later. Man, I can just not get over how straight this body is. I hate that somebody messed that up though. But to put a V8 in this thing, man, this thing would be awesome. And maybe one of those racing exhaust right there. Boom tubes, that's what they call them. Yeah, that'd be a good idea.